Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. Word to your motherboard. That's pretty lame. I don't know why I decided to do that, but it's time to check out another Z490 board. This time it's MSI's turn. You guys have been asking for it, so it's time to check it out. It is the MSI MEG Z490 ACE. It's a pretty interesting looking motherboard. So yeah, let's check it out. And just remember guys, this is not a review. Ladies and gents, as I just mentioned in the intro, this is not a review of the Z490 ACE, it's just an overview so you can get an idea of what comes in the box with a brand new motherboard. So let's do that. Let's talk about like the stuff, the VRMs, the PCI slots and all the things that people love to argue about on the internet. And I've also been told to sit up straight and not slouch, Claire.
Okay.
So yeah.
That looks awkward.
Let's check it out.
Alrighty, ladies and gents, it's time to check out the MSI MEG Z490 ACE. Let's open the box up and get the motherboard out of the way so we can take a look at all of the juicy stuff that comes with the motherboard in the box. Let's do that. Come on, Nick. Don't be too slow. Come on, mate. Let's have a look. All right. First off, we've got this little product brochure. This will basically show you all the stuff that MSI is selling at the moment. Pretty standard stuff for MSI motherboards to include this. There's this round plastic device that no one has any idea of in 2020. No one even has a device to read these. All right, next up, we've got a little thing saying join the MSI reward program now, and you get like a platinum card, but this is basically to sign up to get free merch, like offers to get free merch and that kind of stuff. Here is a little card that says this product was made with great passion and we hope you could enjoy it. I hope I could enjoy it too. Next up, we've got this. This is a bunch of stickers to label your SATA or your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives or drives that you probably wouldn't use if you're going to be using this motherboard, let's be honest. There's a quick installation guide. This basically shows you how to socket a CPU and how to install a stock cooler if you've got one, which I don't think you'll be getting with these CPUs. There's also this little case badge. Now, this is the most important thing in the entire box because this will give you 400,000 extra frames per second if you put it on your case. There's also this manual. This manual has everything you need to know about the BIOS and where everything's located on the board and how to install the RAM and basically what every single thing is. So make sure you keep this and make sure you read this. There's also 3 M.2 screws for the 3 M.2 slots that are on this board that we're going to take a little bit of a look at a little bit later on in the video. Wow, that was a mouthful. Okay, we've also got this. This is a Corsair RGB cable. Yes, this motherboard does support Corsair RGB connectors, which actually makes it quite nice and easy if you've got Corsair stuff. Next up is a bunch of SATA cables or SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. There is 4 included ones with this motherboard, which is pretty standard for a motherboard of this caliber. Next up, we've got some more RGB cables. There are splitter cables, there's addressable RGB cables, there's some 3-pin ARGB cables, just lots of RGB stuff going on here. Next up, we've got the shark fin antenna for the Wi-Fi 6 or the Wi-Fi AX, so you can get all of that fast and speedy Wi-Fi goodness on your brand new Z490 board. Okay, enough of that. Let's see what we got on the board itself. So let's unsheath it from the plastic as we so often do. We slide it out. Look at it, it's beautiful. I really like this new design. I like that they've kind of done away with the red accents and the bronze/copper/gold accents are very nice. But what's on the board? Let's find out. There's a front panel audio connector. There's a 12-volt RGB connector and a 5-volt addressable RGB connector. There's 3 PWM fan connectors at the bottom. Yes, 3. There's also a Thunderbolt 3 header, which is actually quite nice to have included. There's 2 USB 2.0 headers. There is my favorite thing I've seen on a board in a while, and that's an RGB switch, so you can physically turn off the RGB with that switch. There's a power button, a reset button, a diagnostic LED screen or a postcode screen, and the front panel connectors for your lights and switches and all that jazz on your case. Next up, there is a Corsair RGB connector, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. There's 6 SATA or SATA connectors for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. Pretty standard to have this many actually, to be honest. There's also a right angle USB 3 header. There's a USB Type-C header towards the edge of the board. There's a 24-pin power connector to send all the power to your motherboard to do all of the powering up things. And there's also another PWM fan connector for your convenience. Along the top of the board, we've got another PWM fan connector. We've got another 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB header. There's another Corsair RGB header, which is also quite nice. There's a PWM pump connector and a PWM fan connector for the CPU fan. And there's two 8-pin EPS power connectors towards the right-hand side or the top left-hand side of the board. But let's take a little bit of a look at those PCIe slots. There's 3 16 times sized slots, and I always say this, people are like, oh, it's not that speed at all. Well, guys, I'm just talking about the size of the slot. The wiring is different. It's 16, then it's 8, and then it's 4, and there's 2 one-time slots as well. And also, speaking of all things Z490, let's take a look at the Z490 chipset. It's got a big old heatsink on it that's RGB lit and all of that jazz. It's nice and fancy, and it looks pretty cool. I'm really digging this new MSI design, I'm not going to lie. There's also the standard LGA 1200 socket with the same cooler mounting as all of the Intel 115X coolers. So if you've got a current cooler, it will fit. You don't have to worry about it. And if we pop that socket open, you can see the new LGA 1200 socket and the locating pins towards the bottom of the socket rather than the top like the older sockets. We've also got 4 RAM banks for DDR4 RAM up to 4800 megahertz, supporting a total of 128 gigabytes of RAM. And if we flip the board over, you can see the back plate. They call this the chest plate according to the documentation, and it's a semi-cover backplate, not a full cover backplate. Because it's 2020 and everyone cares so much about VRM layouts, it's a 16-phase digital VRM, which is looking to be pretty standard for Z490. But let's pull the heat sinks off the M.2 slot so we can take a little bit of a closer look at those. Now we've got 3 of those in total, and they're all in line with each other. It actually makes it a lot easier to film that way. And these will support PCIe Gen 4 if your CPU supports it, and that's the main thing here. All right, on the back panel, we've got a clear CMOS button, a BIOS flashback button to update the BIOS at a later time, a PS2 port, some USB 3.2 ports. There's lots of USB here. There's also gigabit Ethernet and 2.5 gig Ethernet, which is very standard for Z490. There's USB Type-C down the bottom. There's 2 antenna connectors for the built-in Wi-Fi 6 and the 7.1 digital surround sound. Also wanted to mention this, you'll see some holes on the back. There's actually fans underneath this to cool the VRM as well. All right, let's do a little bit of a peel so we can make the B-roll look a bit better. This is just like a preemptive thing to do, and everybody loves a good slow-mo peel, so let's do that for you. And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking and check out that B-roll. Let's go. I hope you guys enjoyed this first look and overview of the MSI MEG Z490 ACE. Why would anyone make a video like that? I wouldn't watch a video like that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the B-roll. These boards are coming out really soon. Can't say anything about them. But what I will say is I do like what MSI has done with the design. It's very, very nice. They've kind of like, they've stepped it up a bit. And I feel like this is something that's happening with all of the motherboard manufacturers for Z490. They've kind of taken cues and gone and said stuff like, hey, you know what? We're not going to do the crazy over the top stuff. We're going to just cut it down
make it look as sleek as possible. And actually, I wanted to show you guys this before I forgot. There's one little feature on this board, right, that it is the best thing I've seen in a motherboard in a long time. And every motherboard manufacturer, if you ever see this video, please give me this on every motherboard forever till the end of time, right? And I'm using like a little USB cable to power it. This is like a thing that MSI and Gigabyte do with their boards. There's a little switch here, right? And if I turn that switch off, it turns the lighting off. Give me this switch on every motherboard, please. Look, I can turn it on, or I can turn it off. Oh, it's on, but it's just flashing. But yeah, look, I have options, right? Give me that option, please. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button twice. It really, really works. You should try it out. And if you like the music that you heard here, I make all the music. It's available on our Patreon only. I saw some comments today with some people asking if it was available if they became a channel member. No, there's no way for us to actually like push that out properly. You can blame YouTube for that. I'm sorry, but if you did become a channel member, I will refund you, and I suggest checking out our Patreon. And also, if you want early access, we're on Floatplane too. Anyway, if you guys liked it, you know what to do. I said all that stuff, but I'm out of here. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. And I've had a lot of coffee today, which is why I'm feeling a bit more cheeky than usual. And it's Saturday. I want to go eat burgers now. Excited? All right, it's burger time. Thanks for watching.